Hi Truthers, welcome back to my channel, Nutritious Lives and the Wellbeing Guinea Pig. Today I want to talk to you about a couple of very important supplements. Well, one in particular and the other one that helps to make it a lot more bioavailable. But before I go on to that, I was just going to say it's cold and flu season. But I can't say that because I don't want to offend community standards. And last time I did that, our video was taken down. So no more of that. No more of spreading too much love and honesty. Okay, I've got it. I've learned my lesson. I've had a good slap on the wrist, and now I understand. I'm not bitter. I promise you, I'm not bitter. I also want to just say to you at this point that I, as a life coach, offer my services on a one-to-one basis with yourself, and you can consult with me whether this is your nutritional status, supplement status, or anything in your life that you would like to work on to bring out the best human being you could possibly be. I have packages available on my website and also packages that are soon to be added, and all my links, my social media, my website, everything's in the description below. Oh, and I need to say as well, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, because I lack this sort of stuff most of the time, so you've got to remind me. Yes, so thumbs up and like, please. And you know, I like giving you all this free content. I love to put this out, because for me it's all about sharing and raising the collective vibration, and I always want to give you this information for free, but I do need to make you aware that, you know, I offer this on a more of a personal basis, a one-to-one basis, which would, you know, be very beneficial as well, I'm sure you would think. But today I want to go back to what I'm talking about, which is vitamin D. So just the basics really. So obviously we get vitamin D, if you didn't already know, from the sun. But when we go into, I was just going to say it again, I'm not going to, when the nights start drawing in and we have less sun, obviously the days get shorter, you know, we're going into the autumn now, we really need to make sure that our vitamin D levels are at a certain point. Because, you know, vitamin D, without going into too much detail, it basically turns into a hormone within our body, and it has a lot of functions, and namely, you know, boosting our immune system. So especially when we go into the colder months, this is you know, as you can imagine, very much needed. Well, when we have it in supplementation form, we have it as vitamin D3. So I want to just explain to you with regards to skin type. So the darker the skin, the more vitamin D we need, ideally from the sun, but more vitamin D3 when, you know, we're going into these colder seasons. So there's a spectrum. So the lighter the skin, the less vitamin D that you require. However, because of us living in the UK, we still need to, whatever your skin type is, we still need, we get less than what we need of vitamin D, right? So I believe that everyone should be supplementing with vitamin D3. And now this is the sort of range that I'll put it in. So the darker the skin, the more we need, lighter the skin, less we need. I would say that everyone needs a basic level of 1000 IU vitamin D3 in the colder months, and the darker the skin, you can go up to 10,000 IU. But because vitamin D3 in supplement form not from the sun, is fat soluble, especially paired with this, but I'll explain that in a moment. It means that we can have our levels too high over time, and I don't mean supplementing for 2 weeks. I mean because it's not water soluble, like for example vitamin C. We can, excrete vitamin C out. It doesn't work like that with vitamin D. It's a fat soluble, so it basically hangs around in the cell, and that's a really good thing. However, we do need to sort of cap it at a certain point, if that makes sense. So that being said, this is just a company that I'm using at the moment called Holland and James. As a general rule of thumb, most of the companies are really good with vitamin D. Usually I would recommend certain reputable companies, that I feel are good. But with vitamin D3, there's a lot of companies that do a good job when it comes to D3. So you don't have to get specific with this one. However, I feel for me, I am taking 4,000 IU, which is classed as quite a high dose. So I just take one a day, but I also, and this is very important to know, that if we have too much D3 through supplementation and we do not pair it with K2, there's a possibility of calcifying the cells. And what pairing it with the K2 allows to it's almost to flush it through the cell, to not accumulate too much calcium, basically. So to calcify our cells, no matter what's being said, is not a good thing. So I would always recommend pairing D3 with K2. It would be fine to have just vitamin D3 for a couple of weeks, a month even, but long term, it's not a good thing to have our cells calcified, and I want to get very specific about that. So I always pair my D3 with K2, and I would recommend that you do the same. Now, I also like to have my D3 and K2 with a good fish oil, and this is salmon oil, full spectrum wild Alaskan omega salmon oil, and this company is Solgar. I would always say, if you're going to have fish oil, to have it in glass, because plastic can turn rancid pretty easy with heat, and then that leaches into the fish oil. We don't want any of that. We don't know how these products are transported, so for me, there's no point in having fish oil if potentially it could go rancid, because that's going to do the opposite in your body than what you want. So I like to have my fish oil in glass. Solgar's, a great company, so I'm comfortable with recommending those. And the reason why I have it with my fish oil is because if you pair it with fat, it makes the vitamin D3 so much more bioavailable, and that means that it goes into the cell, it does the job, and it's more efficient, and it stays in the body longer. But again, just to go back to what I was saying, to not go over 10,000 IU. It's not necessary. If you as a general rule of thumb, I would say if you went with 4,000 IU and you have very dark skin, 2 of those daily with the fish oil and the K2 would be sufficient. I would personally recommend. However, as I say, you can go slightly above, but no more than 10,000 IU. And as I said, with the flip side of it, with the lighter skin, I would recommend that you by D3 with K2, 1000 IU, and pair it with the fish oil again, and that way you know that you're boosted for these colder months. So I hope that made sense, and I didn't, go into too much detail or use words that were too foreign. But you can always email me, message me to ask me any questions. I'm available. So thank you for listening today, and hopefully I haven't offended anyone, and I'll see you in the next video.